said, we'll send out a link once it is up on YouTube. But thanks for coming to hang out early on well, I guess it's not early for everybody, early-ish on Tuesday. Um, what I wanted to go over today was we just had a form released. It's sort of a cross between an invoice register and an actual invoice itself. And let's see, the way I can demonstrate this to you is, and just a little heads up, I use this demo site that, especially when I'm sharing the screen, goes a little bit slower than we like it to. But I think you understand, just kind of bear with me for a moment while I get us in order. Now, typically in our system, and what you see here in front of you is just a list of demo orders that we have in place to kind of test some of these new features that we've been releasing. So typically, order of operations would be, you enter your order, you schedule it, you print the work ticket, you get it out into the lab. Once it travels through its workflow, and then it's invoiced, and an invoice is printed from that order itself. And then you ship it out. But what we did here was we've created a custom form that combines our invoice register with our actual invoice. And that form is located, let me see if I can pop into one of these orders here and we can take a look. So typically, under things you can do, we would print our invoice, and that's going to print out an invoice for this single order. But now you have the option under here, under your excuse me, print custom reports. You can see that before I hover over it, because it kind of covers it. And I've got a few different labels and different things in this custom report area, but what we're mainly concerned with is this custom invoice, and we can rename it whatever you would like in your system. And like I said, it's going to take just a couple minutes, or not a couple minutes, a couple seconds to pop up here, since I am sharing out my screen. And I've also put a ton of invoices on this form. And what it's doing is the system is pulling this form. It's also pulling the account name, and it's also pulling the date invoiced on this order. Now, what it's going to do is going to bring back every other invoice that was on this date. And like I said, this is not the typical runtime for this, as you can see. Took a little bit longer, but what you have now is an invoice that contains multiple invoices. So we can see that, case 293, 2084, 2058, etc., are all on this one single invoice. We have a bunch of zero priced here because we're testing out different discounts and things like that. But this is to just sort of let you be able to print as a batch a little differently than you were able to before. So before, we could come in here and we could check off these and we could batch print out these invoices. But what that's going to do is it's going to print a single invoice for each one of those orders. We have some clients out there that don't want to send those single pieces of paper all in one box. So maybe if sending 5 to 10 orders in one shipment in one box, this custom invoice would be something that you could utilize. So that was a pretty hefty piece of development, and it's now in production, and it's available to anyone. Obviously, we're not going to have the test lab name at the top of it. We can customize that to put your logo, your address, etc., onto that form. Um, and so that's the brand spanking new feature. Um, Something else I also like to touch on each one of these meetings is that we have the ability to email statements now. So if we come in here to accounts, I'll just kind of show you where that goes. Account settings. So I just kind of clicked around one of these test accounts that we have here. One of the new features that's, I guess it was released about 2 months ago, that some people have started to implement, and I just kind of like to touch on it in each one of these webinars to make sure people are taking full advantage of this, is the emailing of statements. So in an account, we give you the option to add in email addresses. And now there is a drop down here where we can select statements. So what this means is I'll just do it to my my personal email here, so we don't actually send an email to anyone. But what I've done here now is that when this account ends, in the month is ended in this account, um, there'll actually be a link sent to this email address that will enable them to get to their statement. We have a SendGrid sort of audit that gets sent to you. This is done through a service called SendGrid, and once the statements go out, you get a little audit email sent to you if you're set up to get those alerts. We can certainly do that if you're not currently, and that shows you which statements were emailed. Sometimes they'll get bounced back from a bad email address or something like that. So that audit will also tell you whether or not they received it. So it's a good little kind of backup way to check on that. But that goes to say that, still half or a good majority of the statements get mailed physically. So we still print those through our statements screen. And what you'll see here is just a list of the past months that we've closed, and we can download any of those months and grab the folder out of there. So these are just more for the ones that that you're going to send physically to them. Another feature that's come into play pretty recently regarding the statements. We'll go over here to our financial, and let me see if I have a current statement set up in here. Prior statement. We'll see if we can get something to come up in here. Looks like we've got another participant joining. So Eugene, just so you know, since you're just joining now, what I usually do, I'm recording this. So what I usually do is post these to YouTube. In case you missed anything from the beginning, encourage you to go back and watch the beginning, because I kind of go over the new invoice and invoice register that we have in the system. Just kind of currently talking about emailing of statements and some of the new bells and whistles that we have with that. But like I said, we'll have this uploaded on our YouTube site, and I'll have that link out to you guys once that is available later this afternoon, or probably tomorrow morning first thing. So now that we're in this section, we're in the financial section of an actual account itself. And this is to show you an extra feature that goes along with the emailing of statements. So if for some reason the account did not get their statement when the email was sent to them, we can come in here and we can update the address to whatever it needs to be. And then right over here in financial, if you look at prior statements, if I hit this button right here, I'm not going to do it right now because it would send an email to whoever's got their email in there. Or if I hit this one, it would send the one from 2012 um, directly to their email. And that goes to say also, if you're logged in as the SendGrid recipient of the emails, then you will see the audit as to whether or not this email address here actually received the email. So you're not just pushing this button and hoping for the best. There is actually a way to check to make sure, because a lot of well, not a lot, but some of these practices have a network set up with some security on it. So they'll see an email that's quote unquote auto generated coming from a system with a link attached to it. So that could possibly get filtered out by some sort of spam filter, or where I'm getting at. So we give you the ability to look in the SendGrid to make sure they actually received it. And if they didn't receive it, we have a few different ways for you to resolve that, where they can just kind of whitelist the email that it's coming from, and we can cross that bridge when we come to it. But it's a pretty neat feature. It saves a lot of phone calls and a lot of unnecessary printing. So one thing I'll also take you guys over to check out is where we set up the messaging that goes on in these emailed statements. So we'll jump into the global settings here. And for those of you not familiar, global settings, similar to global settings in DL Plus, where these are things that you're typically not going to have to really check on more than once or twice a year, where you're setting your time zone, company address, service charge, things like that. Now, under statement settings, I just clicked here on the left, you'll see that we give you the ability to customize these emails that are going to go out along with your statements. And just a point of clarification, the person receiving the email is not actually going to have a PDF attached to that email. In order to be HIPAA compliant, we have to send a link to them. So what it is an actual email that'll get sent to them with a link, and you can customize the body and you can customize the signature of that email from this screen. We also have some HTML code that we can provide to you if you want to copy and paste that into here. That way you can plop in any logos or little graphics that you may have to go along with the email. This is also the place where we would set the finance charge, service charge. It looks like in our demo we have it set up to charge on 60 days and 90 days. So just kind of bear that in mind if you're going to come to this area and set up those statements to be emailed out. So as I think this has been, what am I getting at? This has been in the fourth end of month that we've had where emailing of statements has been available, and people are starting to use it a little more prolifically now, and we're getting some really positive feedback. So that's why I always just kind of spend a little extra time going over that, because it seems to be a feature that can save folks a lot of time. So let's see, let me get us back to the launch pad here. And really, that's what my goal was to go over today, was the invoice register / invoice new custom report. And this kind of touch a little bit on the emailing of statements and the setup of that. So We're right at about 15 minutes now. So what I'll do is just stop the recording because I think we're at a good